He says the same things. Why do boys say the same things?
Honestly, he's just bloody French. Like, what French men do not flirt with a beautiful woman? To be honest, I think he passed it.
He says that about my eyes.
He says the same shit. I told you this, bro.
So it's the double standard for me. It's the double standard. So it's okay for Steph to flirt with the new bombshells, but if Dylan does that, then it's a problem. Then he's lying. He's playing the game. It's okay for Taylor to pretend like he's not interested in anyone else just because he's after the long game, and everybody's okay with that. And even Nico, we all know they're playing games, and yet we all want to call out Dylan. Make it make sense. I don't get it. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 6, Episode 10. This episode looks a bit more interesting than the others. They've been very slow and very sort of long-winded, so I love this one. So the islanders wake up and the girls are invited to go for a drink with Sophie Monk. And it's like, we always know that something is about to go down when people either go on an outing or when you get an event, know that a bombshell is coming in. So I don't get how the girls were so excited. Anyway, the girls are excited. They go for their date with Sophie Monk and they're sort of talking about their couples and their connections. And you have people like Zanti sort of saying that she's happy in her couple. She can see it working outside of the villa. You have Hannah. Hannah is always going to say she's happy because she says she's got a good one. And it's like, you've got a good one because you tied him down. He tied you down first and stopped you from talking to Tyler, and then you did the same to him. It's not because you have a stronger connection. It's just the two of you have decided to play the game and see how far you can push this. Mimi obviously is still excited about the fact that she kissed Steph. She lets everybody know that she kissed this French guy. The kiss was amazing. It was everything she thought it would be. And it's like, Steph is a player. He's going to play you and you're going to be left crying. So if I were you, I would be careful because there is a possibility that this man could leave you. The guys back at the villa are just, they're just sitting and waiting. And that man, Tommy, is so cringe. I don't even know where they got him from. The fact that he was standing his bum in front of everybody else in a thong trunks doesn't make sense. And I don't know why he was allowed to do that because that was inappropriate in front of everybody else. He should have asked. I think he's just there for a viral moment that he can put up on his socials. I don't think he's there to look for love. He hasn't done anything that's convinced me otherwise. And I think Sydney is just tolerating him because she'd rather be with him than somebody who's rejecting her. That's the impression that I get. Anyway, whilst the girls are there, they then see a sort of a 4x4 drive past with the two new bombshells in it. And the bombshells are excited. They're ecstatic. The girls are shaken. But they should have known that this was going to happen because the moment they were told you're going for an outing, they should have known that something was happening. Last season, I remember that's when they came back with Andy, I think was his name, the guy who ended up coupling up with Nakia and then dumping Nakia at the last moment. So I'm not surprised that the bombshells were going to come. The girls, for them to sort of come, well, I think it was preset. I think the producers said, ask Sophie if she can come back and spy. They were allowed to come back to the villa and spy, so they got to sit in the bedrooms with popcorn and watch their guys. And you have Hannah saying, I trust my guy. And it's like, how do you trust Nico? You don't know this man from Adam. He could lie to you. So there's that possibility that he could be lying to you, waiting for his person to come in, and then he's going to play you the same way Sav was played last season. I don't get it. You have Sophie being worried about Dylan, saying that, she's worried because Dylan was a last-minute save and she's not sure whether it's 100%. So she's hoping Mimi will stand up for her if he does play her. And it's like, don't put that much sort of weight on somebody. He is doing the best that he can with what he has. You are doing the best you can with what you have. The both of you are still open to getting to know people. If he explores connections, when a new bombshell, a guy comes in, you can do the same to him and see how he behaves. He seems to be putting in more of an effort with Sophie than he did with Mimi. I think because Mimi was sort of asking him to do stuff, and I think he's not the type of guy who wants to be asked. I think he's someone who wants to do things because he wants to do it. So I can't wait to see what happens. Anyway, the two new bombshells arrive. The first one is Kayla. She says she goes for tall, dark and handsome. She's 22, and then Krissy is 25, and she says her two top picks are Steph and Dylan, and it's like it's about to be a bloodbath between Sophie, Mimi, and Krissy. It's going to be a bloodbath because there's only two of these guys, and I don't know who's going to win. And the producers are messy in the sense that, so the two bombshells arrive and they're sat on different tables, and instead of having two people at a time, they decide to have one of the boys date the girl. So you sit with one, you stand up, and then you go and sit with the next one. And it's like, why are you trying to make sure that the girls don't miss out on the conversation and they catch everything that is being said? Make it make sense. I don't get it. This is messy as hell. This is messy. Anyway, so you have Tommy be the first one to go on a date. He first sits with Kayla. He's doing his thing, he's gang and whatever, and it's just like, this guy is just for a viral moment. He's here for the followers, he's not here for anything else. And then he sits with Krissy, and you can see Krissy is not buying whatever he's selling. And I think the producers told him to put on a pair of shorts, so he put on a pair of shorts on top of his on top of his pants, so at least the girls were comfortable. That was good. And the girls, they're sort of looking at their guys, and poor Dylan is saying, oh, the brunette, and then suddenly Sophie's going, oh, he told me his exes were blonde, and I'm blonde, I'm more or less his type. And now what is he saying? It's a brunette thing. And it's like, you've only been coupled for less than 24 hours. Allow the guy to see what's out there. It's not like he's going to marry her or he's already settled down. I don't get it. Next up is Steph, and Steph with Kayla was a bit standoffish. With Krissy, he was a bit more flirty, and they gave him a pass, and Mimi said, oh no, he's French, so he's bound to flirt, so it's harmless. And it's like, well, if Dylan does the same thing, let it be called harmless. Otherwise, my defense league, I'm going on attack. I'm not messing about. I am a fan, I'm a stan, and I'm a defender of Dylan till the end, till he lets me down. Dylan, I'm here to defend you, but don't let me down. So Dylan is the next one on the date. He sits down. His first date obviously is with Kayla, and it's just like, oh my god, he was okay. He didn't really flirt that hard. They had a conversation. Kayla actually hadn't said he was in her top anyway, and he was saying he's more worried about the brunette. So their conversation was very smooth. I loved it. It didn't go very fast, so that was good. But then he lost me when he got to Krissy, because with Krissy you could see the flirting, and it's really sad because he did tell both girls right away that, I'm in a couple with Sophie, we coupled up yesterday and this is where I am. But then some of the comments or some of the chat that he was using, apparently he's used it on Sophie, so Sophie wasn't happy about that, and she's saying, oh, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have kept him because he really seems to like this girl. And it's like, it's not his fault that they've brought someone who's his type. They are trying to produce a show, so they're going to bring things that create drama for them. And so if they know that this is Dylan's type, if he's told them that this is my type, that's what they're going to aim for. It's not him going out and exploring someone. And I don't think he would actually go there and do anything inappropriate. He has to flirt. He can't just sit there and say, hi, I'm in Bible study, I'm not seeing anyone, this, that, and the other. And then it comes across as though he's playing the game. And I don't get how the girls were able to forgive Steph and say, he's French, that's what French people do, and yet they were not willing to afford the same grace to Dylan. Make it make sense. I don't get it. And next up was Zayn. Zayn had a conversation with Kayla. His conversation with Kayla actually went very smoothly. I thought he did very well. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the two of them as, the dating progresses, whether he's going to move on from Zanti. Zanti was upset because he didn't even mention that he was in a couple with Zanti. At least the other guys were sort of mentioning who they were in a couple with before they started flirting. Whereas with Zayn, he just went straight into flirting and completely forgot both sides about his current pairing. And I love that Sydney was sort of saying to Zanti, you need to be careful with Zayn, because Zayn has already told Sydney that he's not 100% into Zanti, but he hasn't told Zanti. And the problem is Zanti is in this little bubble where she thinks she's it for him, and this is not the case, and she's going to end up in tears when she realizes that this guy actually has eyes for other people and is still open to exploring connections. Because I wish she had told her the truth and said, I like you. Yes, I see something growing, but not at the pace that you're growing it at. I am open to getting to know other people, so there is a chance that I might move on. But he hasn't said that to her, and this is why she's in this sort of conundrum where she is. Next up is Zayn. Zayn is playing the long game. Zayn wants to be on the show until the very end. So he and M have decided that they're going to ride this wave till the very end. Because of the way he came across, he was very standoffish to both girls, and he told both of them that he was in a very good couple. And we all know this is not the case. The only reason why M is into him is because she has nobody else. If they throw in a guy that's her type, she's going to jump ship. So the audacity for him to bring a flower and then pretend like, oh, there's nothing here. He did the same thing with Sydney, and Sydney called him out to say, you know, you are here to find someone. You're not here to get married. You're not here to sort of, you know, stay loyal to one person as though you're married on day one. And he is showing. If there's anyone who's playing the game, in my opinion, it's Zayn. I don't know how nobody else can say this, that Zayn is definitely playing the game. He's going to do what saves his backside and keeps him on the show for as long as he can. And he's not going to sort of try and explore a connection. I hope they vote him out. I hope they send him home, because people are meant to explore connections. If you find a connection, fine. But we all know that his connection is not as strong as he's making it out to seem. Anyway, after him comes Nico. And Nico came in. I don't think Kayla was his type, so he was quick to sort of tell her that he's in a couple, his couple is very strong and he's happy. But then when he got to Krissy drew him in, and he had no choice but to tell her that, you know, yes, he's in a couple, you know, it's going very well, but he understands that he shouldn't put his eggs in one basket because anything could change. They could bring in someone that's her type and she could move from him. So he needs to make sure that he's still open to exploring connections with other people and doesn't close himself off. So you then had Hannah. Now Hannah was seething, and it's like, this is not your husband, love. This is not your husband. You can't sort of expect him to close things off in week 2. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. You can't expect him to sort of shut things down with everybody else and just focus on you. How is he doing that? I don't get it. And all the girls could see that Hannah was seething. They could see that she was seething, and they were actually, Sophie was saying, oh my God, you can actually see that she's seething mad. And it's like, why is she sitting mad? For her in her confessional to say that Nico is punching, she is punching just as he is punching. I didn't know that Nico was not a native Australian. I thought he looked more native Australian than anything, but apparently he's Greek, or it sounds like he's Greek. So I can't wait to sort of see what happens. Hopefully Chris is able to steal Nico from Hannah, because I don't want her to steal Dylan from Sophie. I don't want Dylan to suddenly, you know, have that tag that is playing the game when he's not, when we know that there are people in the villa that are actually playing the game and are hiding behind other people. Nico and Taylor. The dates, you have the girls pretend to leave the villa and then come back, and so they then sit with the bombshells and the guys and pretend as though they don't know anything about the dates. And it's like, why if you're going to do something, do it and stand on business. Don't pretend like you don't know anything. If you want to hold your guys accountable, obviously they were given the option of, if you want to, you can pretend like you didn't see anything, or you can let the guys know that you actually did see them. So all the girls agreed that they wouldn't let the guys know that they had seen them on their dates. Instead, what they were going to do is they were going to play dumb and sort of just pretend like they didn't see anything, and then surprise the guys later in the evening. So the bombshells were asked, you know, who was your type, who did you like, who didn't you like? And Kayla is saying the only loyal guy was Nico. That's the one she felt was very loyal, and he told both of them he was closed off, more or less. And Krissy was right to say he didn't, because yeah, he did say his couple was going very well, but he flirted more with Krissy than he did with Kayla, and Hannah even saw it. That's why she said she was punching. So the audacity for her to say, you know, girl code, there's no girl code. These girls don't know you from Adam. They've just met you. So how can you expect them to be loyal to you when they've just met you? Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. So after chatting to the guys and sort of, you know, trying to find out about the dates, everybody gets ready for the night. And as they're getting ready for the night, the girls are sort of I think they had a conversation about revealing to the guys what actually happened, and that they were aware of what happened during the dates. Because once they pick up their drinks, you have Mimi sort of be the one to do the toast. So she gives the toast, and then she lets the guys know that they came back and had the opportunity to watch the guys on their dates, and you can see that the guys are shaking. Taylor is not bothered, because at the end of the day, he knows the long game. He and Em know what they're doing, so he's not worried about what the girls saw, because he knows he didn't do or say anything inappropriate, which is like, oh, okay. You do you. You then have the couples go into groups sort of separately to sort of have conversations about the dates, because the girls are feeling some type of way. First up is Mimi and Steph. Mimi says, you know, oh, the girls gave you an A+ because you were very well behaved. You were number one. You didn't do anything. And it's like he was flirting with Krissy. What are we saying? He was flirting with Krissy. At the end of the day, Love Island is paying him big bucks to fly from France to be on the show. He's bringing the French audience, and so they're going to want to keep him on the show, and they're going to tell him to behave himself. If that was not the reason, he would have gone after one of the girls. That's my opinion. And then you have Zayn and Zanti sort of having a conversation. Zanti's in her feelings because she feels that Zayn didn't even bring up her name. And it's like, Zanti, Sydney has already given you a heads up. This guy said he doesn't feel you the way you feel him. So the idea and the audacity for you to continue to sort of harbor feelings for someone who's really not into you doesn't make sense, because you're going to get hurt at the end of this, because this guy is not feeling you the way you're feeling him. And I wish you'd wake up and realize this before, you know, things get out of hand. You have Hannah and Nico. They're sort of having a conversation about where to have their chat. Hannah is a mean girl. I'm going to say that. She's the captain of mean girls in the villa, and she's always making all the other girls uncomfortable. And I don't get how the producers are not calling her out for that, because she deserves to be called out for that. The way she makes everybody else uncomfortable is unacceptable, and I don't know how she continues to get away with it. Anyway, you have my fave, Dylan, have a conversation with Sophie. And Sophie, I think, really likes Dylan. This is why she didn't have smoke for him, because I expected it to come with the smoke, but she didn't. She was very sweet. She was asking about the date, and she was sort of saying, I'm questioning my decision because I know this girl is your type and I'm worried that you're going to leave me. And Dylan is saying, you know, I'm never going to leave you. I'm always, you know, I will forever be grateful for what you did for me. So it's like, Dylan, please be loyal, because with Mimi, he promised he was going to be loyal, and he was loyal. He didn't move on until Mimi moved on. And so I hope he does the same thing, because the problem with Krissy is a lot of people like Krissy, and I think if Krissy's type comes in, Krissy's going to leave him. Whereas he's got someone like Sophie who's all into him. I would rather Dylan stay with Sophie who's all into him and leave Krissy alone. Krissy should go after Nico. That's her type. She needs to go after Nico, in my opinion. You then have Nico having a conversation with Hannah. Hannah is furious. She's saying, why didn't you tell both girls that you're closed off? He's sort of fighting for his life and saying, you know, I did tell them that I was closed off. And she said, no, because at the end of the day, you gave one the impression you were closed off. You didn't give Krissy the impression you were flirting. You were talking about coming home to see your grandparents. And it's like, well, it is what it is. This is less than 3 weeks. He's allowed to explore connections. You did not bring a husband into the villa. You came into the villa to explore a connection. Allow this man to explore a connection until he says it's done. This relationship is very toxic and very unhealthy because of Hannah. This is why I want Nico and Hannah sent home, because of the way and the attitude Hannah has towards the rest of the girls, especially the bombshells. When they first walk in, I want them sent home because she's too toxic for this environment. She did the same thing with the initial clique, the three of them, and now it's time for her to go home. I don't know why they continue to keep her. For her to storm off because she wasn't getting away and say, I'm going to go to the toilet. She's just trying to be theatrical, and I don't think this is the place for her. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 9. Bye guys!